come in here a moment, would you please?
Here. You've been ferreting around in my sandwich box, haven't you?
I certainly have, and I found something not altogether connected with sandwiches. I refer, of course, to Blauvetter's Encyclopedia of Sexual Knowledge. How do you explain this?
I found it on the heath, Pete, and I thought I'd better keep in my sandwich to keep it dry, until someone claimed it.
You've been hiding it away, aren't you, because you're ashamed of it?
No, I haven't. I just kept it there for safekeeping.
You shouldn't be ashamed of sex, Dad. It's no good hiding your sex away in your sandwich tin. Bring it out in the open.
It's a good book, there's some good bits in it. Have you read any of it?
Yes, I've been through it up to page 3001.
Read the whole lot then, haven't you?
Yes, it's quite good, isn't it?
I like it because it tells you everything about sex from the word go, doesn't it?
Well, it's a wonderful thing about a sexual mores throughout the ages, Dad.
And it shows you humans' sexual endeavour from the time of Adam and Eve, Pete.
It certainly does. All the myths about it as well. Of course, Adam and Eve, while they were in the Garden of Eden, they didn't have anything to do with sex to start with, When they were in paradise, they didn't have anything to do with sex. Because they were wandering around naked, but they didn't know they were naked.
I bet they did know. I mean, you soon know once you get caught up on the brambles, wouldn't you?
No, they had no idea. They were remarkably stupid as well as naked, and they didn't know they were naked till up came the servant. Or no, rather the serpent.
Serpent, yeah.
Well, serpent in servant's guise, as some authorities have it.
Yeah.
Up came the serpent and said, "Here's an apple. Lay your teeth into that." And then they lay their teeth in the apple, and then the serpent said, "You're nude. You're completely nude."
Hello, nudies.
Hello, nudies. And,
of course, they dashed off into the brush and covered themselves with embarrassment, didn't they?
And, of course, mulberry leaves as well. They covered themselves all together with this primitive clothing made of leaves. And suddenly, as soon as they become completely covered, they began to get attracted to each other. And then, of course, they tore off the mulberry leaves and it all started, the whole business.
Yeah. Well, I think, once you get clothes on, you're more attracted to other people. Like, I think Aunt Dolly's more attractive with clothes on than off. So Uncle Bert says, anyway.
Yes, well, Aunt Dolly is really at her most attractive when she's completely covered in wool and has a black veil over her. And ideally, she should be in another room from you.
But who is your sort of ideal woman, Pete?
Well, above all others, I covet the elfin beauty. The gazelle slim elfin beauty. Very slim, very slender, but all the same still being endowed with a certain amount of...
busty substances.
Yes, a kind of Audrey Hepburn with Jane Mansfield overtones. That's what I go for.
Yeah.
Well, what do you like?
Me too, the same sort of thing. But actually, I like the sort of woman who throws herself on you and tears your clothes off with rancid sensuality.
Yes, they're quite good, aren't they? I think you're referring to rampant sensuality.
Well, either one will do. But, of course, the important thing is that they tear your clothes off.
That's the chief thing, whether it's rampant. I like a good rampant woman.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, a rampant woman, or rancid, whichever you prefer. That was Veronica Pilbrow.
Oh,
remember
goodness,
her?
yes, I remember her. Yeah.
She always used to throw herself on Roger Braintree, never me though.
Yeah, well, Roger Braintree at school, he always knew much more than everyone else, didn't he? He's always boasting about the things he knew much more than anyone else.
Oh, clever drawers, wasn't he, eh?
Yeah. Remember that time he come round behind the wooden buildings?
Yeah.
And he had, what was his name?
Kenny Vare.
Kenny Vare with him, and he come up and told me, he said, "I've discovered the most disgusting word in the world. It's so filthy that no one's allowed to see it except bishops. And nobody knows what it means. It's the worst word in the world."
What was the word?
Well, he wouldn't tell me. I had to give him half a pound of peppermints before he let it out. Do you know what it was?
What?
Bastard. Bastard.
What's that mean, Pete?
Well, he wouldn't tell me, so I knew it was filthy, but I didn't know how to use it. So he said the only place I could see it was down at the town hall in the enormous dictionary. They have the enormous one with a whole volume to each letter. And you can only get in with a medical certificate. So I went down there and sneaked in, very secretively, and went up and I took down from the shelf this enormous, great, dusty bee. and brought it down and opened it up, and there was the word in all its horror.
What?
Bastard.
What was the definition, Pete?
It said bastard, child born out of wedlock.
What's a wedlock, Pete?
Wedlock, Dad, is a horrible thing. It's a mixture of a steam engine and a padlock. And some children are born out of them instead of the normal way, and it's the filthiest word in the world, Dad.
Make your hair drop out if
Oh,
you
if
say
you
it.
see that, yeah.
But I like looking words up in the dictionary. I like going down the Valence Library into the reference library and getting out the Dictionary of Unconventional English out and looking up bloomers.
Yeah, that's quite a good way of spending an afternoon, I suppose.
Because I tell you what, Pete, actually, the whole business of sex is a bit of a letdown, really, when you compare it with the wonderful romantic tales of the novelist who can portray sexual endeavours in so much better form.
Well,
Pete.
he makes it all so perfect. In the hands of a skilled novelist, sex becomes something which can never be attained in real life. Have you read Neville Shute?
Well, very little.
How much of Neville Shute have you read?
Nothing.
Yes, well, Shute is a master of sensuality. He has some wonderful erotic passages. There's Town Like Alice, which is a wonderful book, in the hardcover version, page 81. If you go down the library, it falls open at that page. It's a description set in Australia, Dad, and of this ash blonde girl, Tina. And
Tina, don't you be mean now.
Shut up. She's standing on the runway, you see, of this aerodrome. And it's very hot, Australian bush heat, and very hot indeed. And she's standing there waiting for her rugged Aussie pilot to come, bronzed Tim Bragley. And it's very hot. The cicadas are rubbing their legs together and making that strange, very similar to that ghastly noise which is coming from your mouth at this very moment. And it's very hot and she's covered in dust. The Australian dust is all over her. She's got dust on her knees, dust on her shoulders.
Dust on her bust, Pete.
On her bust, as you so rightly point out, Doug. And she's very dusty and very hot. Hot and dusty, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, the clouds open. There's a tremendous clap of thunder, and suddenly the mongoose is on her. Tropical rainstorm is soaking through the frail poplin she's wearing, and as the dress gets damper and damper, her wonderful frail form is outlined against the poplin. And then, what does she hear? But in the distance, she hears a distant buzzing of an approaching plane. She cups her ear like this to hear that.
She cups her perfectly proportioned up-thrusting ear, Pete.
Whole thing as well. Anyway, she cups it, and the plane comes down, goes on the runway, comes to a halt, and out comes the bronzed Aussie. But all the propellers are going very fast still. There's a tremendous rushing wind, and it blows up against her, and it blows the damp dress right up against her, and reveals for all the world to see her perfectly defined
Busty substance.
busty.
What happens after that, Pete?
Well, the bronze pilot goes up to her, and they walk away, and the chapter ends in 3 dots.
What do 3 dots mean, Pete?
Well, in Shute's hands, 3 dots can mean anything, but
How's your father, perhaps?
usually means a bit of that, but Shute always uses 3 dots. It means use your own imagination. That's what it means.
It's fun.
Conjure the scene up yourself. Whenever I see dots, I feel all funny.
Well, it's put me in the mood to go up the Valence Library and look up bosom again.
No, it's no good looking up bosom. It only says, see bust.
It's nice to read it all again, isn't
Well,
it?
it gives you something to do, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's lovely.
Right.